And hello, everyone. This is Tom. I am excited to share with you in our Classic Zine as part of SPACE Week, the Small Press and Alternative Comics Expo in Columbus, Ohio, coming up at the end of April 2004. I am excited to share with you a Classic Zine from the organizer of SPACE, Bob Corby. He has an ongoing comic that he calls O Comics. And as you can see, this was the official comic of the Mid-Ohio Con. We don't have Mid-Ohio Con anymore, but it was a very popular event, and some really big names came. This was back in the 80s and maybe early 90s. I believe the likes of Frank Miller and John Byrne were there. So they brought in some pretty big names, and they had a pretty good time. But this is Bob Corby's mini comic in benefit of the March of Dimes. And you can see it's a really nice looking mini comic. It looks like it was offset printed, very sharp, befitting an engineer like Bob. Make a nice clean looking copy. But I thought it would be fun to take a look at this one because this is his first edition and he's the organizer for SPACE. It says, "Welcome to O Comics." And then he says, he talked about how he was getting into small press. And then he says, "After a few months of buying, selling, and trading small press comics, I noticed there was a pretty high percentage of small pressers from Ohio. Noting the title O Comics, OH, which is a big thing here in Ohio, it just popped into my head." And then he says in parentheses, "Actually, I think I stole the idea from Mass Digest, a now defunct book produced by a contingent of Massachusetts comics producers." I'm going to digress real hard right there and let you know that Mass Digest was done by a certain me, and helped organize that with the help of Matt Kanarakis in Massachusetts and a few others. You can see we had a Brian Kirk cover, Matt Kanarakis cover, and a Matt Levin cover. So anyway, yeah, kind of neat to know that this was the part of the inspiration for Bob to do his O Comics. And this has a number of, it's also talked about the March of Dimes. And so the March of Dimes was the Mid-Ohio Comic Con's beneficiary. And so he thought that he would do the same thing with O Comics, then make it the official comic of the con. You can see the contents. We have a number of luminaries from back in the 80s. Ian Shires, Jim Pack, Bob, of course, Aaron Tracy, Michael Toth and David Vance, Bruce Chrislip, Bob Voyko, Matt Levin, Terry Wood, Alan Freeman Sheridan. Pretty cool. And so we start with a Herman the Hanks and Engine the Seagull from Ian, talking about the March of Dimes. Cute little piece that he did. Jim Pack doing a wonderful Adventures in High School piece. The only thing I probably would say about this is this could very easily be 4 pages. But I can understand, having had the page crunch in the past, you can see that he had to squeeze it down. But these are really nice looking pieces. They each could be their own page. Wonderful cartooning by Jim. Bob did this really nice one called Slideshow. And I've never seen him do as much pointillism as he does here, but take a look at that. I'm going to see if I can get up close for you. Look at the quality of the shading that Bob did on that. That is a really sharp job, and it's a cute little story as well. Very cool. There were ads in this from comic stores all over the state of Ohio, which was really neat. Aaron Tracy doing a piece called School Days, and then also doing one called The Urban League Intercontinental versus the West Side Recombatants, and kind of a fun little piece. Then we've got, I believe this is, and I'm going to jump back to the table of contents. Yes, Michael Toth and David Vance's Scavenger Hunt. Really nice looking cartooning there as well. Again, this is one of those things where you've got so much text in it and it's packed in so tight it almost gets tough to read, but luckily the cartooning is so good. Nice looking piece. Bruce Crislip, talk about using the page really well. The simplicity of a single page is really good for a quarter page mini comic like this. And he did a nice job. We've got some more ads. And then Matt Levin, who of course I've done some work with, especially in Strange Times anthology. He did a piece, and he talks about before he lived there, this was his picture of Ohio, flat out to the Rockies. And coming from Massachusetts, he went to the geopolitical center of this Buckeye State, Ohio Wesleyan University, and he was there from 1968 to 1973. I love how he mixes in all the different things that happened over that time. And now he came to see Ohio from the lake to the Indian Mounds and Yellow Springs, the old man's cave and the mountains that reminded me of home. That's really cool. I think that's wonderful. Terry Wood from Wandering Star, and also more recently working with me on Accelerator, and she actually has a Wandering Star revival coming up in a Kickstarter book. Anyway, she did a fun One Day at 7-Eleven cartoon. Another ad. I love this art, and I'm going to jump back and forth. This is Axe in the Box by Sheridan, but just look at the level of detail there. Just incredible. A lot of fun. Alan Freeman, of course, doing his cartooning, talking about condiments. And then Bob wraps it up with Bunny Blues. A little less pointillism, a little more hatching, but still some pointillism in there. He's still learning and developing his style, but gosh, it's just clean as can be here. And then some nice stuff about all the different contributors. And I like this. He was talking about, he puts in a nice little legend, talking about what a mini is, a digest, and a magazine, and the like. He puts in the addresses. Of course, probably next to none of these are any good anymore. And then he says, if you're interested in getting involved with Small Press, here's a list of newsletters and review zines, which publish reviews, ads, and news about Small Press comics. Alter Limits, CP Digest, Comics FX from out in Seattle. Jim Pack did CP Digest. Fandom, but from Phoenix Productions. Hey, who knew? And then Small Press Corner from Robert Tomlinson out in Nevada. A little ad there, another ad there. This is a really sharp book. I like it a lot. And the neat thing about O Comics is that it's still going on, and I am going to share with you a preview copy of O Comics that you can pick up at Space. It's issue 32. You can also get it from Back Porch Comics. It's a premiere for Space. He's got it for $8. It is a beautiful, not quite full comic book size book, but man, it's just gorgeous. Bob did a wonderful job on this. Neat cover by Ron Hill. All right, with that, we're on to Space Week. Let's have lots of fun with it, and hope to see you all at Space.